not going to use technology. That's just way too complicated. I got to tell you, though, if you've seen Mary Poppins, don't start the clock yet. If you've seen Mary Poppins, she made a couple of very dramatic entrances. One of them she flew in from right up there, landed in the middle of the stage. I can't tell you how badly I want to do that tonight. But I landed in the middle of the stage, and I wanted to say the 10 scariest words in the English language. I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. I do have a problem. Don't start the clock. I do have a problem. There's been a couple of, I've looked at 2 different brochures, and each one telling me I'm supposed to do something different. So I'm going to ignore them both and do what I want. The problem is I've got 30 minutes worth of words, and I've only got 15 minutes to say in them. So I either talk real quick, or I just use every other word, one of the 2. I will get through it. I was supposed to talk about quality of life, which is something that is I'm very passionate about. That's why I'm so excited about the fact that Rich and his group are going to be taking over the quality of life enforcement for our city. But unfortunately, we have not pinned down the details on how we're going to set that up yet. So I really can't talk a great deal about it. But I got talking to a couple of the board members as well as Beverly, and I was asking, who's the crowd tonight? Who's going to be there? And they said it was going to be a mix of folks who obviously are very active in LNA. There's going to be folks in here who are members, but maybe not particularly active. And there's going to be some folks in here who are not members. So I have 2 goals for tonight. For those of you who are not members of the LNA, I want to make you members. For those of you who are not active, but are members, I want to make you active. And I'm going to give you some very specific reasons why you need to be involved and active in the LNA. There is so much exciting things going on in this city. I could spend the rest of the evening just adding on to what these folks have talked about. But I think we have to take a look at where we are and how we've gotten where we are. And it's a result of a lot of very, very hard work for some folks in a very unique organization. I don't know, and I've asked a couple of folks who seem to know the answer, is there any place else in Gwinnett County that has an organization like the LNA? Nobody seems to know of one. So this is a very, very huge asset for our city. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about some incidents that have happened over about the last year or so where the LNA has had a huge impact on our quality of life because of their involvement, because of the way they function. And hopefully that will encourage those of you in here who are members but not active or are not members to join. I'm going to talk about quality of life. I'm going to put a little bit different spin on it because I am going to talk about specifically those things that they have done that have helped us out. And as I go through this process, I want you to keep one word in mind as you think about the LNA. And I want you to keep the word advocate in your mind because that's what they are. That's what they do. They are your advocates. They're the folks who show up at the various commission meetings, the board meetings, city council meetings, and they are your voice. They are bringing to you, or to these councils and these boards who make decisions that affect your lives every day. They're your advocates. They're helping you through this process, and they need help. There's a lot going on. Things move very, very quickly, and these folks are all over it. When you think of the LNA, you think, because the name is Lawrenceville Neighborhood Alliance, you think of them as primarily focusing on neighborhoods, which they do. But keep in mind that there's a lot of things that aren't necessarily tied to a neighborhood that will affect your property values, affect your quality of life. So they monitor a lot of the applications and a lot of things that are coming before the various boards and councils, for example, in the business community. Now, I am absolutely convinced, and always have been, that a city is somewhat defined by what people see when they drive in all those major corridors, what your businesses are. If they come into a community and they see nice restaurants and nice shopping, manicured streetscapes and so forth, folks get a very specific perception of who that community is. By the same token, if you come into one and you see, shall we say, bail bonds outlets, pawn shops, used car lots, title pawn, you're going to get a very different picture or perception of who that community is. That doesn't mean those perceptions are right. Perceptions are reality, and we have to deal with those things. So I can tell you that LNA involvement, that there is at least one pawn shop and 2 title ponds that are not in this city, and they played a significant role in that event. Happened about a year ago. I wasn't on council yet. At the time I was on the planning commission. And I saw the applications coming before us, and I went to the meeting that night, looked out into the audience, and saw the applicants that were there. I knew the attorneys that were representing them. And typically at planning and zoning commission meetings, the only ones there are the ones who have applications coming before us. But that particular night, there was another group sitting off to my right. It was the LNA. Now, these are public hearings. So at some point in the meeting, the chairman will ask if anybody wants to speak on either behalf or of an application or in opposition to it. When he made that request, the LNA members stand up. They come forward. Now, they could have just walked up and said, we don't want pawn shops, and turned around and walked away. That's not what they did. They had done their homework, and specifically with the title ponds. At that point in time, and I'm taxing my memory a little bit, but I think there were 17 title pond businesses in this little footprint town of Lawrenceville. And they listed those. They knew where they were. And to me, personally, the most graphic thing was the map they showed. When you take the footprint of the city, you put 17 dots on that thing, it appeared to me we were being targeted. Mm. So, as it turned out, I can't speak for what was going through the minds of the other commissioners that night, but I knew that one of them, because he told me before the meeting, was considering voting in favor of those applications. But after the LNA made that presentation that night and they showed that map, all of those were unanimously denied. Now, that's not the end of the story, as Paul Harvey says, because the Planning Commission is not a binding commission. They make recommendations. So these applications still had to come before State Council. About 6 weeks later, they did. I went to that meeting because I wanted to see how it would go. Same players are there, except one of the title pond company was a national company. They brought in a heavy hitter. They brought in a vice president to appeal to the city council. He made an outstanding presentation. Very eloquent and very well presented. LNA goes up and made the very same presentation they made to us on the planning commission. And the council made the very same vote and denied those applications. Now, the fact is we have 1 less pawn shop and 2 less title ponds. But that's not what I think is important to this story. What's important to this story is, to my knowledge, we haven't had another application from either of those kinds of businesses in over a year. So what that tells me is because of the LNA and the work they did and the preparation they made, that somebody, we were on some radars for some other companies that are in those businesses. And I will promise you, they decided Lawrenceville's not where we want to go. We don't want to fight that fight. We don't want to go up against that organization that is going to lobby so hard against us. So they're going elsewhere, and that's fine, because that leaves room for the kinds of business